Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum students. Hope so you will be very fine. Today we will discuss our first lecture, immunity, and after watching this whole video you will be able to understand about the basic concept of immunity. So without wasting our time, we will start our first lecture, that is immunity. First of all, you know about the word immunity. The word immune is derived from a Latin word that is immunus, and what the meaning by immunus means is safe or free from burden, mean protected or no any burden. So it's a Latin word. If we want to define the immunity word, this immunity is the defense mechanism of a body against any foreign substance or any particle, agent or invader. So it's a basically the defense mechanism of any body, human body basically. So in by using that defense mechanisms, our body will resist or I can say defend the foreign substance or particles or agents. So what are that particles or agents? These may be the any microorganism or toxin or chemical that cause infection in your body. So in shortly we can say that immunity is the basically the defense mechanism of the body that will prevent us from any infection or any attack of any microorganisms. So it's a defense mechanism of a body. Next is, I had said that the microorganisms are pathogens that are the invaders or attackers or antigens. So what are these microorganisms or pathogens? Basically, these microorganisms or pathogens are infectious particles that cause infection in your body. So in order to prevent that infectious particles, our body will defend against that particles. And what are that particles? These may be the viruses that are very familiar. We are very familiar about these viruses that cause many diseases in human beings and also in animals and also in plants. So these are the basic microorganisms. Second, other very famous infectious particles or pathogens are bacteria. So these are all the infectious particles or microorganisms that cause different types of disease. There are a lot of different types and species of viruses and bacteria that cause different types of diseases. Similarly, fungi is also there that also cause many infections and many diseases in plants and animals and human beings. So these all three are the basic microorganisms or pathogens that cause different types of diseases and infections in all living organisms. So these are the living organisms and microorganisms. So beside these microorganisms or living organisms are also other agents present in our environment that cause that type of infections, and these may be the chemicals. So chemicals are of two types. Some chemicals may be present in our surrounding that cause infection and that will enter into your body and cause different types of diseases. But also these chemicals may be secreted by above these microorganisms or virus, bacteria, fungi, because these also microorganisms and cause also have secretions. Some secretions, so the secretions that is produced by these microorganisms are called are the chemicals that also cause different types of infections or diseases. So these are the basically microorganisms or pathogens that attack any human body, any animal body, or any plant bodies. Next is types of defense. If our body, I had said that immunity is a mechanism in which our body defend against microorganisms or attackers. But what type of defense? How our body defend against these microorganisms? So our body defend against these microorganisms in three ways. And what are these three ways? First line of defense mechanism, then second line of defense mechanism, and then third line of defense mechanism. So basically these are the three defense mechanism of our body that to defend against microbial attack or any invader or any microorganisms. So I will describe these three terms in briefly in later slides. First is first line of defense. First line of defense mechanism is that defense in which our body prevent the entry of anything to enter your body. So it's a first line defense. First line defense mechanism use external barriers, and these barriers are used to keep microbes out of the body. We say that in normal routine that cure is prevention is better than cure. Same like that, if our body will not allow any microbes or any organism or any microorganism to enter into your body, then they will not cause any infections. So this is the first barrier or first line defense, in which our body will not allow any type of microbes or any type of attackers to enter into your body. So it's the first external barrier, or first line of defense mechanism. But it's a non-specific defense. Non-specific defense means that it has no concern. This type of defense or first line of defense mechanism have no concern about the type of bacteria, about the type of virus, about the type of chemical, or about the type of any microbe. So it has no concern with the type of any attacker. Its only concern is to defend. Its only concern is to resist, and will not allow the entry of these microbes into your body. So it's a non-specific defense, and it's external defense. And what type of these barriers and these external barriers? These external barriers that prevent the entry of any foreign invaders are, first of all, is skin. You know that our skin is the largest organ of our body that cover our whole skin, because we are human beings, and we are not have any outer covering or any hole, etc. Some some, I mean, plant cell that they have cell wall, but we have no any cell wall. Similarly, some organisms have outer skeleton that is called exoskeleton, but we have no exoskeleton. We have our endoskeleton. So that's why our skin is the outer surface or outer membrane that is in 24 hours are directly exposed to our surrounding. So in this way, our skin is directly exposed to our surrounding, that is the largest organ of our body. So first of all, any microorganism that want to enter your body will directly attack on your skin. So our skin is the first line or first barrier that will not allow that microorganisms or invaders to enter into your body. So it's the first line of defense or first external barrier. Then second is, also we eat food, and food had a lot of germs and different particles and polluted and pollution. So these polluted particles are germs and microorganisms also cause different types of diseases. When we eat that food, that microorganisms will enter into your body and cause different types of infections. So our digestive tract, mean GI tract, has epithelium lining. That epithelium lining act as a barrier, because that epithelium lining has some modifications, and by using that modification, our GI tract will not allow that microorganism or microbes to penetrate into your skin and cause infection. So that's why our epithelium of digestive tract, means GI tract, is also as an external barrier that act as a barrier or resistance or show resistance. Second, third is the respiratory tract. Respiratory tract, you know that we inhale air, and without air we cannot survive. That's why our respiratory tract should have modifications to resist that microorganisms. In our air, many germs present, because our air is there are a lot of pollutant present in our air, and that can get entry into your body and cause many infections, many respiratory infections. So that's why our respiratory tract should be modified. So our respiratory tract is modified and had epithelial lining, and also some other modifications. Due to that, it will not allow that microorganisms or that dust particles or germs or anything, any pollutant particles, to infect your body. That's why this respiratory tract also had some modifications and act as a external barrier or first line of defense mechanisms. These three defense mechanisms are first line of defense. I had told you these barriers shortly and briefly, but in later lectures I will describe these three lines of defense, first line of defense mechanisms in detail. But we will go to the next second lines of defense. Second line of defense is the non-specific defense. As we had seen previously, that is also non-specific. Similarly, this mechanism, this second line of defense, is also non-specific. I mean, it has no concern with any type of bacteria, any type of virus, or any chemical or microbes. But it is an internal defense. First one was maybe the external defense, means some external barriers, skin, etc., or external things. but here it is internal defense. Some inner things will participate to defend that microbes. So it's a non-specific, having no concern with any type of microbe, but is internal defense. So it's a second line of defense mechanism. It has innate immunity. It's an innate immunity. Innate immunity. What is innate immunity? Innate immunity means it's a natural or inborn immunity. Innate immunity is basically the inborn immunity that we had naturally in our body, and we have no need to acquire or adopt that immunity artificially. So it's an innate immunity that will prevent our body to against for attack of that against that microbes. So it's an second line of defense mechanism of our body. So it's a natural mechanism, and it includes natural killing cells of blood, NK cells, and then inflammatory response. Mean, and if any a microbe attack into your body, then your body will show inflammation. So it's an inflammatory response. And third is fever by rising body temperature. So these three mechanisms are involved in second line of defense, in which our body fight that microorganisms are attackers. Then next we have a third type of defense mechanism, that is third line of defense. What is third line of defense? It's a specific internal defense. Specific internal defense mechanism is that defense mechanism in which our body have concern. This mechanism have some concern about the specific types of virus, types of bacteria, and types of attacker. I mean, a chemical or anything that will attack in your body, any foreign substance has specific, and it's has concerned to that particles and matters. So it's a specific, but it is internal defense. It's also an some internal things will involved in that type of defense mechanism. So it's a specific and internal defense. It's a adaptive or acquired immunity. In second line of defense mechanism, you had seen that that was the innate immunity, and that is not adaptive or not acquired. Mean it was natural, but here it is adaptive or acquired immunity. Adaptive or acquired immunity is that immunity yet that you will acquire uh, artificially. So it's an adaptive immunity, and it's also called basically the immune system of a body that directs attack against specific microbes. So in order to define this adaptive acquired immunity, we will have some basic or common example of poliovirus. In poliovirus, we inject the polio vaccines in human body, and that polio vaccine have some dead germs, and dead germs are the polioviruses that are dead. We inject that dead germs into the human body, and at that time human body have no any type of disease or polio. So when we inject that microorganisms inside the body viruses, viruses these viruses will act as an antigen, and our body will consider them as an antigen, and in response to that antigen our body will produce the antibodies. So in order to prepare our body for future, if in future these type of microorganisms or viruses, poliovirus will attack in your body, our body will be prepared previously to fight that types of germs. When our body have antibodies, so in next future when these type of microorganisms will enter your body, and our body will expose that germs, our body have antibodies. So in this way it will fight against that microorganisms and kill them. So it's an adaptive or acquired immunity in this way. And what type of things that involved in this type of defense mechanism? It has two types of cells. One is humoral immune response cell, B cells, and second is cell mediated immune response, that is T cells. So B cell and T cells are basically in basic type of cells that involved in this type of defense mechanisms. And beside this, macrophages are also present there that act as a engulfing particles, and phagocytic activity will done by these macrophages. So these three things are mostly involved in this type of defense mechanisms. And what are BRT cells? And these type of cells are basically the lymphocytes. Lymphocytes, you know that our blood had different types of cells, including leukocyte, lymphocyte, platelets, and many more. Same like that, lymphocytes, from these types of cells, lymphocytes are the basic cells that are mostly white blood cells that produce BRT cells, and these cells fight against microorganisms or any invaders. I hope so. You will be able to understand about the basic concept of immunity. In later videos, I will describe all three types of defense mechanism in detail. Here I had described in briefly, in shortly, but in later lectures I will describe in detail. So here I want to announce that this lecture is also uploaded in Urdu and on the same this channel, and whose link is also available in below description box, from where you can just click and go there. And here for getting all videos, you have to subscribe this channel, and for subscribing this channel and push, and you go will, on this page, and you will push subscribe button, and then push bell icon. And also don't forget to like and share. In this way you will be able to get my all videos more frequently and frequently. No, I hope so. You will be there. Take care. Allah Hafiz.